What Nancy Mace and what Speaker Johnson are doing are endangering all women and girls. Because if you ask them, what is your plan on how to enforce this? They won't come up with an answer. And what it inevitably results in are women and girls who are primed for assault because people are going to want to check their private parts in suspecting who is trans and who is cis and who's doing what. And so the idea that Nancy Mace wants little girls and women to drop trow in front of who? An investigator? Who would that be? In order, because she wants to suspect and point fingers at who she thinks is trans, is disgusting. It is disgusting. And frankly, all it does is allow these Republicans to go around and bully any woman who isn't wearing a skirt because they think she might not look woman enough. People have a right to express themselves, to dress how they want, and to be who they are. And if a woman doesn't look woman enough to a Republican, they want to be able to inspect her genitals to use a bathroom. It's disgusting. And everybody, no matter how you feel on this issue, should reject it completely. What are they doing? They're doing this so that Nancy Mace can make a buck and send a text and fundraise off an email. They're not doing this to protect people. They're endangering women. They're endangering girls of all kinds. And everybody should reject it. It's gross. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Representative AOC put it best. Nancy Mace's anti-trans crusade against the one incoming trans lawmaker, Sarah McBride, is downright despicable and morally reprehensible for a number of reasons. And even though she claims she's doing this at the behest of women and under the pretense of feminism, all she's doing is laying the groundwork for genital inspections of women and girls. And to AOC's point, a reporter asked Nancy Mace how something like this would even be enforced, and as you're going to see, she had no answer.
How would, what's the mechanism for checking who's qualified to use the ladies' room then? Like just sort of generally. Obviously, Sarah McBride has identified herself as a trans person, but what would be the, like, I guess
Here's the deal. Biological men shouldn't be in women's private spaces, period.
So she either doesn't know how to enforce this kind of a policy, or she does know and doesn't want to say because she knows that the only way to effectively enforce this kind of a policy is for people to become de facto genital inspectors. But how do you determine who is and isn't woman enough? Because Nancy Mace herself has been transvestigated by the same people that she's now pandering to. For example, Ari Drennan points out that the transphobic stochastic terrorist Twitter account Libs of TikTok had to tag which of the two women was actually trans while tweeting about this in case her fans started to harass the wrong woman. Because they didn't know which one was trans. This person says, dumb question, but which one is which? I honestly don't know. Another person said, which one is the real woman? They both look like men. But it's not the first time that people have transvestigated Nancy Mace. Ari also shared these screenshots of people transvestigating her and accusing her of being a quote-unquote secret man before she even started this entire debacle. So I'm going to ask again, how do you enforce a bathroom policy if you can't really tell who's trans and who isn't? People might think that they know, but they don't. I previously talked about a cis woman who was followed into the bathroom because she was accused of being a man because of her pixie haircut. The same thing happened to a 4th grade cis girl in Kelowna who was accused of being a boy because of her pixie haircut at a school sporting event, and her parents were then accused of being genital mutilators. And these are just some of the examples of cis women and girls who've been accused of being trans by people who think that they know who is and isn't trans. It happens all the time. Ted Cruz just did it in an ad where he claimed that he was protecting girls. He ended up calling 2 cis girls boys.
Colin Allred is pushing an extreme liberal vision for America. Boys and girls locker rooms. Boys and girls bathrooms. Boys and girls sports.
But they always know, right? And the parents of those girls were pretty mad because Ted Cruz never asked for permission to use their daughters in his ad where he called them boys, which would potentially open them up to harassment. But to be clear, anti-trans bathroom bills endanger all women and girls, both trans and cis alike, because you can't enforce them without becoming genital inspectors or having some sort of bathroom police. And even if trans people follow this policy and abide by the law, it doesn't make anyone safer. It makes them, in particular, very vulnerable. For example, Oklahoma banned trans students from bathrooms, and 16-year-old Nex Benedict was a trans boy that got into an altercation in the girls' bathroom that he was forced to use because of that law. In other words, the law forced a teen boy into a girls' bathroom. He was subsequently bullied and died. His death was later ruled a suicide. So these bathroom bans literally endanger the lives of trans people, and this bill could endanger the lives of people at the Capitol, especially given how Marjorie Taylor Greene literally threatened to physically assault someone that she suspects of being trans in a Capitol bathroom. And I believe her because she also nearly got into a brawl with Lauren Boebert after confronting her in the bathroom as well. So, maybe the real bathroom predator is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Maybe Nancy Mace should come up with a resolution to ban Marjorie Taylor Greene from bathrooms. But the point is that these types of laws endanger trans people. Not to mention, they create uncomfortable situations where men are actually using the bathroom with women. And this trans guy explained it in the simplest way possible.
I'm going to walk through the door of this public restroom, right? Because we're pretending that my bathroom is a public restroom. And I want you to tell me if you would feel a certain way about me walking into the women's public restroom, okay? Because this is going to be specifically the women's public restroom, where the laws tell me I have to go to the bathroom, okay? Let me know if you feel a certain way. And remember, you don't know that I'm trans. I'm just somebody presenting as a man walking into the women's restroom with a full-grown beard, okay? Does the image of me, a man, walking into the women's public restroom make you feel a certain way with my full-grown beard and my presentation as a man? The answer is yes, because you already said that you would feel a certain way about somebody presenting as a man with a full-grown beard walking into the women's restroom, right? You already admitted that you would feel a certain way about that. And that's what these laws say that I have to do. I have to walk into the restroom with you and make you feel a certain way, because you are so focused on what somebody else's genitals may or may not be. You are so focused on that you either don't understand that these laws force me into the restroom with you to make you feel a certain way because I present as a man with a full-grown beard, or what's more likely, you refuse to accept that because it doesn't fit your narrative of hating trans women and being obsessed with their genitals that they may or may not have.
Yeah, so Nancy Mace says that she wants to keep men out of women's bathrooms, but her preferred policy would force that dude in a bathroom with women. Do you think they would feel comfortable with that? Do you really think anyone would feel more comfortable or protected in that situation? Do you think he's going to feel comfortable using the bathroom with women? Of course, nobody would feel better. So it's ironic that Nancy Mace is going on this crusade under the pretense of protecting women when it would do the opposite of what she says it's going to do. And what makes it even more despicable is her willingness to weaponize her own trauma to imply that trans people are predators when she has no evidence that this is the case.
I'm a survivor of rape. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. And I'm not going to allow any man in any female private spaces.
Now, Speaker.
End of story.
And it is terrible that that happened to her. Let me ask, though, was the predator trans or cis? It was a cis man. So there's this underlying assumption that trans women pose a unique threat to cis women when that's completely untrue. In fact, the Williams Institute found that, quote, transgender people are over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to experience violent victimization, including rape, sexual assault, and aggravated or simple assault. And forcing trans women to use the bathroom with cis men could jeopardize their safety. But Nancy doesn't care about any of this because she feels like trans women pose a danger to her. So fuck them all. Feelings over facts. Okay, well, if you don't care about trans women, then as a feminist, you certainly should care about cis women, right? If that's so, then I'm sure that you endorsed Kamala Harris over Donald Trump in the last election, right? I ask this because Trump was found liable for sexual assault in court. He's been accused of sexual misconduct by more than 24 women. I believe the number is 26 now. And he admitted to sexually assaulting women on tape, and he used to walk into changing rooms when he owned Miss Teen USA. Oh, and he was also very close to notorious sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. So as the protector of women, Nancy Mace made the principled decision to endorse Kamala Harris over Donald Trump in the last election, right? Perhaps they disagree on politics, but when it comes to her defending women, of course, you can't allow a rapist in the White House, right? Well, of course not. She not only endorsed Donald Trump, She defended him on national television, and then she shared her defending a rapist to her social media profiles. You're going to see that she put her little website in the corner of this video that she shared on her YouTube because she's proud that she defended a rapist.
How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke about it.
Doesn't it make it harder for women to come forward when they are defamed by
It makes it harder when other women
candidates?
joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive. And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame you
at
all. In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, or rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. Donald Trump
they are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all. I
told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a
civil court.
It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. My political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country.
It is so rich that she's implying that her trans colleague is a predator after she defended a literal rapist and attacked his victim on national television. It really doesn't get any lower than that. This person has no morals whatsoever. What an opportunist. What a sick person. And not to mention, there's also Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr., Linda McMahon, Matt Gaetz before his withdrawal. Has Nancy Mace, defender of women, condemned any of these alleged rapists and alleged pedophiles or pedophile associates that Trump nominated to be in cabinet positions? Has she spoken out? Of course not. Because she doesn't give a fuck about women. She doesn't care at all about women. This is nothing more than a branding exercise for her. I say this because, as Ron Filipkowski points out, she's recently tweeted about bathroom bullshit 262 times and counting, which includes graphics of her being portrayed as a warrior for women and performatively posting the words biological over the bathroom sign and tearing down trans flags somebody put up, and videos of her being a transphobic girl boss saying she's doubling down and she's not scared of the woke mob. But my favorite is this graphic where she purports to stand with rape survivors. Now, you see this, and then you scroll down a little bit further, and then you see her retweeting this video of alleged rapist Pete Hegseth. Now, if you scroll down a little bit further, you see that she posted this photograph of herself with RFK Jr., who has been accused of sexual assault and is another associate of Jeffrey Epstein. But as she talks tough and doubles down, she's simultaneously portraying herself as the victim of bullying after spending an entire week bullying the one trans colleague that she has that hasn't even been sworn in yet. And just in case it wasn't painfully obvious, all of this is an act. But as AOC alluded to in that first video we watched, she's doing this for attention. She's doing this so she can fundraise off of it. She already has fundraised off of this. She's trying to raise her national profile so she can get on Fox News or run for higher office. And I say this not only because she's a worse actress than any actor on a cheap soap opera that you can find, but before she devolved into Marjorie Taylor Greene 2.0, she actually tried to present herself as a more reasonable conservative. And she even got into a Twitter spat with Marjorie herself and called Marjorie Taylor Greene batshit insane. And guess what? Before she became America's chief czar on genital inspection, she actually tweeted out support for the LGBTQ plus community and even argued that no one should be discriminated against, and explicitly said religious liberty, gay rights, and transgender equality can all coexist. But as Natalie Johnson points out, she had to shift course because being a normal conservative wasn't getting her appearances on Fox News. And Natalie would know better than anyone because she is literally somebody that used to work for Nancy on Capitol Hill. She also shared this fundraising text from Nancy and dragged her, saying, "I don't want to see your botched, cheap hooker-inspired boob job on my television. Can we introduce a bill to bar that?" Which is incredibly savage. She also said protecting women in Congress would be introducing a bill to bar Matt Gaetz, a sexual predator with an affinity for underage girls, from ever walking those halls again, rather than dropping a messaging bill that sole goal is getting on TV. And sure enough, she is finally getting the attention she wants and those coveted Fox News interviews. But it is genuinely hilarious that she thinks anyone is fooled by this bit. Everyone knows that this is political theater, that she is acting. And when journalists confront her about these theatrics, what does she do? She melts down and shits her pants, because the one way that you can get a grifter to break down is by exposing their grift. Case in point.
Congresswoman, America is facing a lot of challenges right now. There are wars overseas. We were just talking earlier in our program about Ukraine and Russia. There's an immigration system that needs fixing. I know you've talked about that. Everyday people are struggling to buy a house, pay for groceries, and especially in your neck of South Carolina in the Palmetto State, I saw yesterday that Boeing is laying off several hundred employees at the beginning of the year. I'm sure that's going to impact some of your constituents. Why do you think your constituents want you to focus on this bathroom resolution and not their jobs that were just potentially lost at Boeing?
Do you really think that women in Congress can't walk and chew gum at the same time? Like, you're going to insult me and say that?
Congresswoman, I
can't work on multiple issues.
I did not say that.
Let you know for the,
I looked at your social media and I did not see anything about Boeing. Have you put out a statement about Boeing?
I have filed almost 100 bills since I became a member of Congress. Women can do more than one thing at once. I'm not going to be insulted by your left-wing talking points.
Congresswoman, I am giving you the chance to address the Boeing layoffs here. Have you posted anything about that? Have you made any comments about that publicly? What are you going to do for your constituents about that? I looked on your social media. I did not see anything regarding the Boeing layoffs, and I'm sure that is going to impact people in the Palmetto State in South Carolina.
You are incredulous and so insulting to women. Number one, it was just announced yesterday. And before I make a comment on any company's position or, firing their employees, I'm going to get all the facts and understand what's really going on. I have worked diligently 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and nothing some left-wing journalist like you can say will stop me from working hard for the people of South Carolina.
Seems like that left-wing journalist hit a nerve, didn't she? Love to see it. Now, as indignant as she was, she ended up admitting that she didn't know about the Boeing situation, meaning that she's shirking her responsibility to her constituents so she can do political theater and get on Fox News. So if you are a constituent of Nancy Mace, understand that she doesn't care about you. She cares about herself. And if you vote for somebody like this that is so opportunistic and self-interested, I have to question you yourself and whether or not you're intelligent enough to even be voting. Because voting for somebody like that makes you a clown too. You vote for the fucking clown, you get the circus. And somebody who doesn't give a shit about you. But unfortunately for her, she leaned a little bit too hard into this villain role to the point where this happened. She got at least one Republican to feel an emotion that I didn't think they were capable of feeling. Human empathy. So Ari Drennan shared this tweet from a Republican Twitter account admitting that he actually feels kind of bad for Sarah because Mace has been so nasty. And he said this while responding to McBride, who said that she's going to respect Speaker Johnson's rules and not use the women's bathrooms at the Capitol. Now, seeing her comply with this really made me feel disappointed, admittedly, because it really felt like a capitulation to me. And I say that because it's not about her. It's about all trans people who have the basic human right to just use the bathroom. But even though I would have loved to see her defy this discriminatory rule and fight it, it's not my place as a cis man to dictate how trans people respond to their own oppression. That's a conversation that the community has to have amongst themselves, and that's what they're doing right now. But with that being said, the entire debacle did make me feel extremely pissed off because it's so unspeakably cruel and genuinely sickening to see. And she is loving the attention that she's getting and doesn't care at all that trans people are seeing this. Not just Sarah McBride, but other trans people are seeing this and they are disgusted. She doesn't care. And when I think about the trans kids who are going to grow up and see that this is how lawmakers behaved, it just makes me feel so hopeless. But as much as we may want to lash out and tweet at Nancy Mace or call her a rape defender, even though she literally is that, don't do that. Because she is collecting every single tweet and mean message and using that as evidence that she's actually the victim of bullying, even though she is the bully herself. It's a typical TERF tactic. J.K. Rowling has done this before as well. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't bully transphobes, because you absolutely need to be as mean and ruthless to them as possible. But when it comes to Nancy Mace in particular, it's clear that she thrives on the hate. She loves it. It fuels her. So the best thing to do to really get under her skin, in my opinion, is something productive. And I'll leave you with a recommendation from Dr. Annie Andrews, who came up with the brilliant idea of donating to an LGBTQ plus organization in Nancy Mace's name. Fundraise off of this in the way that she's trying to fundraise off of this, but you can do it for a good cause.
I have a way that we can make her regret this. It's not like she's going to wake up tomorrow morning all of a sudden with a sense of basic human decency or morals or empathy. So I think the only way to make her regret this is to make her look like a fool by donating to LGBTQ plus organizations in her name. I'm asking you to donate to your local LGBTQ plus organization, or give to the Human Rights Campaign, or the LGBTQ plus organization in Nancy Mace's backyard, AFA, or the Alliance for Full Acceptance. It's run by a dear friend of mine. It's an incredible organization doing incredible work to support LGBTQ people in South Carolina. Whatever you do, give in Nancy Mace's name today and using the hashtag Nancy Mace Rainbow Fund. Hashtag Nancy Mace Rainbow Fund. Go to AFFA, AFFA-SC.org/donate and give in Nancy Mace's name today. Let's make something good come out of this disgusting attack.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games. F around and find out. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid game. Pride. Trans rights are human rights. It is necessary to push trans on the kids. Pride.